this video, I want to look at some of the properties of real numbers. So when we look at some properties of real numbers, we're actually going to be looking at these real numbers a, b, and c. So we'll just start by saying for all real numbers, and we're just going to call it a, b, and c. Okay? Now, one of the first properties is where we take a and we add it to b, and we'll say that if we reverse the addition as b plus a, these are going to be the same. They're going to be equal. Now, similarly, if I take my real number a and I multiply by b, I can actually reverse the multiplication by writing b times a. Now, what we call that is the commutative property. So we have that this is what we call that property, is that you have that multiplication for real numbers commutes. Okay. The next property that we can look at is the associative property. So for instance, if I take a plus b, and let's put some set of parentheses there, and we have plus c. Okay, so what I can do is actually break the parentheses and just say that we'll just add b and c first and then add it to a. So that's our associative property for addition. Now similarly, if we take a, multiply it by b, contain it within its own set of parentheses, and multiply by c, this is the same if you take a, multiply by b, and c. Okay, so again, that's the associative property. Oops. Sorry. Okay, now the other property that we have, which is one of the most important ones that you'll be using, is the distributive property. So here we have a times b equals to a times b plus a times c. So this is what we call the distributive property. Okay, well, let's look at some examples where we use the properties of real numbers. So let's say that, for example, that we go ahead and we just look at, okay, say for example that we have 2 plus x, but we know that basically the commutative property of addition says that that's the same as x plus 2. Similarly, what if I was to write x times 3? Well, we have that the commutative property for multiplication says that that's the same as 3x. Furthermore, if I have, let's say 7 times x, and I put a set of parentheses, multiply that by x, note that, for example, that we can break the parenthesis, take this as x times x, but then x times x is actually just x squared, so you have 7x squared. Okay, so that's actually the associative property for multiplication. Now, another example of using the properties of real numbers, so remember that's the commutative, associative, and distributive, is that say that we take 3, we multiply it by x plus 4. Okay, well, the distributive property states that, essentially you're taking that real number 3 and you're multiplying by both of the two terms. So you have that you're multiplying by that, by the x, and by the 4. So that would give you 3x plus 12. And then that would be it. There's not really much else to do there. But let's say that we try to sort of mix in these properties. Okay, now most of the time you can actually just, if you are able to kind of just group the terms and kind of work it out on your own, then that's totally fine. So like let's say that you have 8x minus 4y, and then you have plus 6z. And then let's say that we have another set of parentheses, and in this case you have 3x plus, okay, so plus, let's see, we'll go ahead and just put, not 4, but 5. Yeah, that's supposed to be a 5. 5y plus, let's see, 9z. And we'll just go ahead and say that's gonna be it, actually. Okay, so we'll just close that. Alright, so in this example, all that we're trying to do here is either try to add and subtract, add or subtract as needed. So here, all that needs to be done is that we can actually just group some terms together. So we have 8, okay, so 8x plus 3x, and we're just going to add that. And then we have plus, okay, so we have plus, let's go ahead and write this as negative 4y plus 5y, and then we're just going to go ahead and, last but not least, take the 6z and add 9z. Okay, so again, all that we're trying to do is just actually just combine by using addition or subtraction. Okay, so 8x plus 3x, that's just going to be equal to 11x. And then from here you have that when you go ahead and you simplify the next term, that's actually going to be just plus y. Okay, but then you also have that 6z plus 9z, well that's going to be 15z. However, there's not anything else that we can do with this because you have that these terms are unlike. Okay, you have that both, or all, x, y, and z, they are not common to each other. So in that case, we just leave it as is because it's the most simplified form that you have.